Anybody that follows me knows that I love doing my shows on sports, movies, and music. Only here and there would you find me even talking about politics. And the only time that I do say anything about it is when I feel like that I have to say something. So when I saw what happened to Charlie Kirk, him being assassinated at a college in Utah, first, I wanted to leave it alone. But understand, this dude was very racist and very hateful. And I'm not, in my mind, I don't think I'm speaking ill of the dead. I do believe anybody that's listening knows that I'm speaking truthfully. And when you have this person, he had his shows, I don't know if it's a podcast or what, and his hate speech was so full to the point where he had hateful groups of people that normalized violent racism that he spoke about. The tipping point for me to want to speak about this situation is that this president of the United States made orders that the flags will fly at half mast because of a Charlie Kirk. I do want to speak facts in saying that I understand September 11th is now, and that a lot of the flags were flown in memory of September 11th. But speaking of the words that came from this president, he felt it necessary to say that the flags were also flown at half mast because of what happened to Charlie Kirk. I feel like if it wasn't such a serious matter, it would be a joke. It would be an unfunny joke, but it's still a joke considering who the hell this president is. How does a podcaster who executes his words of hate speech and has, from my understanding, no political office history, no military history, no any good to the community history that I know of, get to have a flag flown at half mast because of his untimely death? You would think that there would be some requirements involved in having a flag flown at half mast, besides the fact that the president says he was my friend. And to me, this goes to everything that goes around this president. Once you are a friend of his, you ended up receiving benefits of that friendship. I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm cheering for somebody to get assassinated. That's not what I'm saying. I'm speaking of aftermath right now. The man lived his life in what large groups of people would explain was hateful in tone, uncaring, unsympathetic. And then we have this president using his position to showcase his power and doing something so out of order because my friend, someone I call friend, has been assassinated. So, where are all these other politicians that can tell you, hey, man, that's not only wrong, that's very wrong? No. It gets to the point where anytime he says something, it gets done or passed And Democratic presidents such as Biden, Obama, or even potential runners such as Hillary Clinton or the former Vice President Kamala Harris, anything they say has to be broken apart, dissected. Let's discuss it, and then we'll have a meeting about it. But not with this president. There's a reason why anybody also that knows me, I speak about how this clown of a president always has reminded me of the Chucky movie, the Chucky doll. Same little orange hair, but this guy done got older with faded. So now we're talking about an older Chucky looking villain who, if anybody who's writing a Chucky movie, should also write the new Chucky where he turns around and runs for president and wins. Because that's what it's looking like. You have a clown with followers who see nothing wrong with what he is doing so long as they feel like they could benefit from him. Be damned to everybody else, but as long as he benefits me, it's okay. He doesn't have to have any redeeming value, which he does not. He doesn't have to be sympathetic or empathetic to American citizens, which he does not do. I can't say that I was sad about the assassination, but you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to even talk about the assassination. I'm not cheering it. I'm not celebrating it. Just not talking about it. As I just stated before, I'm talking about the aftermath. So I'm going to leave at that. But I do know good and damn well that he did not deserve half-mast flag situation. That is going overboard, and I don't think enough of that is being brought about. I'm going to give you an even scenario because remember, if you're friends to Donald Trump, you're worth the benefit. So why did not Jeffrey Epstein, the known rapist and pedophile who's in prison and died in prison, I'm surprised Donald Trump didn't fly a half-mast flag for him because remember, he's his friend. So now we're turning around and we're looking at all the friends that become friends of Chucky. Prez. All of them, as I spoke before, and I know it might seem repetitive, they reap the benefit from being his friend. And now, remember in recent memory that a Minnesota politician and husband was assassinated. Somebody please remind me, besides maybe the state of Minnesota or neighboring states, did the country go to half-mast because they were killed? Did the president, orange-haired guy, make any statements about them? No. And then, worst of worst, there was a school shooting where students were killed, murdered in school. But because we're too busy talking about Charlie Kirk and the president, we don't even get to sympathize and empathize with those families of murdered children. And instead of this president speaking about gun violence when it comes to those students, he wants to speak about how the person that killed Charlie Kirk won't get away. We're going to put everything in our resources, but not so much about our young people. Yet still, we got his followers that support this demon. Remember, Chucky was a demon too. So, I'm going to go ahead and close that out right here. I have nothing more to say about the matter. If you have any comments, please hit me up in the comments. I would hope you give me any likes. And if you will, if you like my show, please subscribe to my page. I'm going to go back to my good things, my good feeling things, my movies, my sports, and my music. And I'm going to lead as you. Thank you for listening to me and have a good day. Bye bye.